I'm in the middle of trying to lift that stack of I-beam, column I-beam. 10 pounds per foot. And there are 8 pieces there. And this little tractor, like I use it for hay, has some weights on it, but those tires, they're not off the ground yet. So I'm going to try sliding this back as slowly as I can and get it low to the ground so it don't teeter the tractor over. And then stack it back over here on some skids. The front axle on this 6610, it's the equivalent, actually it's the same as the 7710. For some reason, whoever ordered this axle for this tractor, it was beefy. I'm confident to pick up 2,000, 2,500 pounds with this tractor if it's balanced right. I'm going to have to make some extra weights for the back 3-point hitch pickup, but it doesn't hurt to always keep an eye on it. The front end, when I first bought it, I did have to work on the spindle a little bit. Somebody put the wrong castle nut on the spindle, and it's been working fine ever since. But just keeping an eye on all the equipment is key for operating. After unloading everything and sorting everything out, I started cutting on the columns. Now these columns here are 15 pounds per foot. And in a previous video, you saw me drilling on the plate that's going to get welded to these columns. And there's a lot of them to make up. I think there's 22 or more of them to make up. They're 4 feet long with rebar. Well, right now I'm just cutting up parts of rebar that go on the anchor post. I'll have to bend them again. Well, I'm cutting them now, and I got 2 bends to make on it. I got to make up, I don't know, Probably several hundred of these. Back at it again. The pieces that I was cutting, some of them are for the column that's going to stand up, and the other piece of it is going to be the anchor post that goes down in the ground, and then I'm going to concrete it. And I drilled a bunch of holes, and I've got an 1.25 inch piece right here. And the reason I've done that is so that when I do weld this to that, it helps keep this from doing any bowing. I want it to stay square and straight, and that's what also, before I get it all square all the way around, measured where I want the comb to be, top and bottom all the way around. And you notice this piece that I made in one of my other videos, I got the jam nuts in there. It's not wobbly. The only other thing I could do to it would be to put this in a sleeve and be able to roll it, but I'm okay with it right now. My plan is to get a piece of tubing and put it right here, and then when I do release that over there, I'll be able to roll it possibly, but it won't be too bad. I'll try doing all the welding I can flat down in here and up here and across here, and if I have to do any vertical welding, it won't be very much, but I'll be able to roll it still, loosen that up a little bit, and it'll stay on these stands. I could, well, yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to do, but this is important. Years ago I used to do some welding on some metal posts for the utility company, and we did it the same way. A big old giant reinforcing ring. It was like way bigger than this. It took an excavator or something else to hold it up, and you'd bolt it up, and then we'd weld it out, getting it all square on there. After I finished welding on the flange, rolling it and welding it out on top, and rolling it the other way and welding it out on top, I checked it for squareness, and then before I welded on the inside, I checked for squareness also to make sure that it doesn't bow too far one way. So if it, you know, if it bows one way, you go to the other side to weld, and it kind of draws it out. If I had the proper jig, it would be holding on to everything, but I don't. I'm trying to put this together like working out in the field, and that's what's going on. Right there, working my way in. And when I pull out, I'm flat. I don't have a hump. That way, when I start to weld on the bottom in there, I'll have a good start. I'm gonna weld these out on bottom, and then as you see, I flip it and do the other side. That way, it's even. I don't want to put a giant bead in there because it'll draw this away. Even though I got it bolted to that, it'll draw it a lot. So you gotta weld as much as you can even. That's why you're gonna see me spin this a lot. But I put this can on here so it's easier to spin. And I'll put a, like I did here, I put a multiple bead, a root bead, and then 2 fillet beads on top of the root bead. I'll do the same inside also. Welding on plate or this I-beam, welding on pipe is similar. You don't want a giant bead to fill it up because it'll dogleg, what's called, in pipeline or on steam pipe, whatever. So you put little beads in there and evenly you weld only quarters, like bottom to side or from side to top on the other side. You're supposed to weld a quarter if you're by yourself. If you're not by yourself, hopefully there's somebody with you. And you just put one single stringer bead at a time. I cut up some 5/8 rebar and made it so they're halves though. This is half of that. So made it so it fit over this. I want the concrete's going to be about out here, but these are just hooks to hang onto the concrete. And put one pass on it. I'm going to put another pass on it. Thinking about putting also just a plate on the bottom. And when I pour concrete, it's going to go all the way up to the bottom, and then there's going to be 3/4 inch studs coming out of this plate for the column to adjust, so I can adjust the column for it to be level. So I'm going to finish welding these out. have finished welding up 6 of the anchor posts. All the rebar's been put on it, welded on it, and the studs have been installed into the plate. Both nuts have been torqued and welded to the plate, and then on the bottom where the stud is visible, it's welded also to the nut. Now it's time for sandblasting and putting on some primer paint. I'm going to use Rust-Oleum Red